Hi YouTube, Timothy Unkert here. In this video, I'm going to cover Neovim and setting it up for specifically Markdown. Okay. In the previous few days, I've covered Emacs Markdown Mode, Atom's Markdown Writer, and VS Code's Markdown options and extensions. I think some people have been finding that interesting, as many of you may be interested in static logging. So I decided to cover setting up Markdown, at least the way I do it, for one of the most popular editors out there, which is Neovim. Okay, so I'm in my init.vim, and the first part of this video, I'm going to look at my init.vim and explain everything in there. And then the second part of the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a Markdown document and go through the options and keyboard or key snippets that you can use to create a Markdown document in Neovim. Okay, let's get started. All right, so at the top of this document here, right here, I have set tab stop equal to 4, set shift width equal to 4, and set soft tab stop equal to 4. So tab stop equal to 4, that's a tab is 4 characters, shift width equal to 4. When I do a tab, I put in 4 spaces, and soft tab stop equal to 4 means that my soft tabs are also 4 spaces. Okay, for plugins, right after that, I start into the plugins. You'll see I have this call plug begin, meaning I'm using Vim plug as my plugin manager. And I start with this first plugin here, which is Zen Mode. Okay, and you'll see this Lua, a less than EOF, and then require Zen Mode.setup, and then nothing in between, and then EOF. That's directly from the README on the Zen Mode plugin. You leave nothing in between these two curly braces here if you're using the default settings. Okay, so I have that in there. And then right after that, I have in-remap, Control A, escapes and runs the Zen Mode command, and also for no remap. So for insert in normal mode, it will do this. And what it basically does, if I hit Control A, you'll see it brings the text more into the center here a little bit, kind of like Zen Mode in VS Code. Now, the other thing you'll notice is the status bar on the bottom goes away as well. So you're more focused just on writing, which can be helpful if you're using Neovim for a writing tool. Many authors use Vim, Neovim, and Emacs to write novels in. And they're perfectly good for that. Excuse me. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is auto pairs. Auto pairs is something I personally like. So if I'm, let's say, writing, let's say I don't use a keyboard shortcut and I just want to do a link, I'll do something like this with the opening and closing curly square brackets rather, and then you put your link text here, and then I hit the opening parentheses and it closes it for me, and then I have the link URL here. Okay, so that's just something nice that I like. I use that during programming, but I also like it during Markdown. So I'm just going to delete that. Okay. The next plugin is Run Code. That one I haven't fully used yet, but you can run code blocks in Markdown. If you want to do that, you have to be inside the code block and then run the code command. That one I'm not going to demonstrate today, but it's an interesting option to me. The next one is this Kanagawa. Now, this is a totally new theme. I randomly came across this on a Reddit post. This is the current theme I'm using, is Kanagawa, which is described as when Groovebox and Tokyo Night have a child together, something like that. And it seems like a pretty good theme, so I'm going to try it out for a while. All right. After that, I have Vim Airline, which gives me this colored status bar. I'm not using any specific airline theme. I think this basically default Vim airline theme goes pretty well with the Kanagawa theme. Okay. The next two, these are important for my Markdown, for creating the Markdown, and it's Ulti Snips and Vim Snippets. Now, you need Vim Snippets to go with Ulti Snips, but basically that's going to give me my key snippets that I type in a little snippet, hit tab, and I can expand it into something in Markdown. So if you go down here, these three here, lines 22, 23, and 24, basically set up ultsnips to expand on tab. So this expand trigger equals tab. The jump forward trigger equals Control B, and the jump backward trigger equals Control Z. Those were some recommended settings. So I just use pretty much the tab one, but I have these other ones in here in case I want to use them. We'll see if I actually use them in the coming days, but this one is especially helpful. Okay, the next one is this Markdown Preview. Now this requires that you have Node and Yarn, and it will install it once you have that. And I have some commands here with Control S to start the Markdown Preview and Alt S to stop the Markdown Preview. Okay, and so that'll open up a server in your browser, and you'll be able to preview what this looks like. I also have down here set mouse equal to A. That allows me to use the mouse to move around in case I want to. And then set scroll off equal to 3. So when I'm creating the document, I don't have my line right on the bottom here. When I'm typing to the bottom, it's going to give me a little bit of space. Then Control P is going to run Prettier, which is one I have here. And that's just going to, once I export the document to HTML, it's going to format it. And I also have this COC plugin here. And the reason I have that is I also installed coc-emmet. So once I export it to HTML, and I do that with Markdown IT, once I do that, then I can create the head of the document with emmet using the exclamation point and then tab. And I can create HTML with emmet if need be. So those are the plugins. Let's see if there's anyone. So I set term GUI colors, color scheme again, set number and relative number. What that does is, let's say I want to go up to this line here. Well, this is 10 above, so I can go 10K, and I'm right up to that line. Let's say I want to go down to the, maybe say this one, I go 22J, and I'm down to there, okay? So it's nice for navigating a document. And that's pretty much it for the init.vim. Next part of the video, we'll be actually creating the Markdown document. Okay, so I've got a Markdown demonstration file open, and let's start talking about what we can do with key snippets or snippets in Markdown. Now this is the ultsnips plugin along with the Vim snippets plugin. So let's say I wanted to create a link. Well, I'm just going to type link and hit tab. And that is going to expand into a link. Now you'll see I have this text here highlighted. I'm going to just hit backspace and type in whatever link text I have there, okay? And then I'm going to escape, go to normal mode, move over here and do DI and then an opening parentheses, and it's going to delete everything inside of there. And I can either paste in my link or I could type it in. So let's say https://google.com. So that's links. And let me just put a heading here. Okay. Next thing we'll talk about is images. Okay, so with images, if I type img and hit tab, it's going to expand it and give me a framework for an image. So first I'll put my alt text here. Then we'll do our image URL here. And then if I want a title, I could do DI quote, and actually deleted one of the quotes, but I can put my title here. Okay, so that's images. Next up, let's talk about headings. So you notice I'm doing double hashtag and then headings, but there's an easier way. So if I want to do a first level heading, I do SEC and hit tab, and that gives me a first level heading, and it says section name, which is an interesting way to think of it, but this is a heading 1, right? So heading 1 would be SEC and then tab. Okay. Then if I do SSEC and hit SSEC and hit tab, I get a heading 2. So that's SSEC. Okay. If I want to do heading 3, I do SSSEC, hit tab. That's an H3, a heading 3. It's SSSEC. If I want to get a heading 4, I do something a little different. I do PAR and hit tab. And that's like a paragraph, they think of at that point. Heading 4. Okay. So that's PAR. And if I want to do a heading 5, I do SPAR and hit tab. And that's a heading 5. Now, they don't have anything specifically for 6. If I really wanted a 6th one, I would have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be a heading 6. Now, in Markdown, you don't need the closing. It's optional to have this, and it doesn't really matter. It's all based off of this, but it's just for formatting. So there's no key shortcuts or snippets that I know of anyways. Here, okay. So that's headings. All right, let's do SSEC and hit tab for our next section, which is going to be on code blocks. Okay, so for a code block, what I can do is type CBL and hit tab, and that's going to give me a code block, which is the 3 backticks to open and the 3 backticks to close. So code block goes here, and that's just CBL, okay, for code block. All right, next up is inline code. So let's do SSEC, hit tab, do our inline code. And for inline code, I do ILC and hit tab for inline code. And that's a backtick before the code and a backtick after the code. So code goes here. Okay. Text styles. So for text styles, for bold, so let's do SSEC, hit tab, we've got our text styles. For our text styles, for bold, we're going to use just double asterisk and hit tab, and it'll complete the closing 2 asterisks. Now, when you do bold, it's in between 2 double asterisks, right? So bold text here. Okay, for italics, we do 1 and then hit tab, and that gives you the closing 1. So italic, if I can spell that correctly, italic text here. For bold and italic, we do 1, 2, 3, and then hit tab, and it gives us the closing 3. So this is bold and italic text. All right, next section. So I'll do SSEC, hit tab, and this is going to be dates and times. So you can enter those in as well. So for a typical date, I just type date and hit tab, and that inserts a date. So that's just, let me just go here and put, that's just date. And then for time, we can type time and hit tab. And that's just gives you the time. We can do date time and hit tab. And that gives you the date and time. It's helpful if you're putting that on your blog. And we can also do the date in ISO format. If I do DISO and hit tab, okay, and maybe you want to do this in front matter or something like that. That's DISO, okay. Okay, so I did install the Markdown Preview plugin. So let me write this file. And to start that, I'm going to do Control S, okay? And it's going to run this command Markdown Preview and open up. You see we have a local server running and it's opening up the page. And here is our preview. Now I'm recording, so it's a little bit slower than normal. But here's the document we created so far. That's what it would look like with their styling. You can also check this to put it into dark mode if you want to take a look at it as well. Now, if I want to stop that, I'll go back here and do Alt-S. And if I go back here, I notice it closes that out. So you do want to stop it if you're just typing it because it does, I think, slow it down a little bit. So once you preview it, I would stop it and then restart it if you want. Okay, so now that we've got our document created, I have a node module called Markdown IT that I've installed. So what I can do is I can take this, I can run or open up a terminal, right? And I'll say markdown-it, and then the name of the file, which was markdown demonstration file. Now I just typed M and it auto-completed with tab there. And I want -O for output and then do MA and then have it auto-complete again, except I want to change the end to HTML and I'm going to run that. And you'll see it's created that. Now, if I list that out, I have a few other files in here, but I've actually written a blog post on this using this Neovim to do it. And so I've got this markdown demonstration file.html. So let's quit out of here and let's open that file. Okay, so this is the file that's created. Okay, so like I said, I also had coc-emmet installed coc. So you notice it starts right with the HTML, but I don't have the head of the document. So to do that, I'm just going to go up here, hit the exclamation point, and you'll see I give two options. I'm going to pick this top Emmet abbreviation. You could also just go to the bottom and see, oh, it's just a doc type. No, I want the top one. I'm going to hit enter, and that's going to give me the general framework. And if I go, oops, I just want to undo that, sorry. If I go here to the start of the line and go to the end here and delete these two out, and then do Shift G to go to the bottom, and then Shift A to move to the end, and then Escape and P, I can paste them at the bottom. Now, I'm doing this really slow because I'm trying to demonstrate it for a video, but that can be really fast where you get that done. To go back to the top of the document, I'm just going to do GG. Okay. So I've got a viewport and the character set. So I also want the description. So you'll see if I go down here, I can do description, hit enter, and I can then describe what this page is about or article is about here. And I can give my title here, so title here. And then I can either link in a style sheet here with link, and you'll see I can do link CSS, and it gives me a link to a CSS file. Or if I'm doing my 90 style blog, I just do a style tag here, go down and hit enter, and I just do, for my 90 style blog, the only style that I'm putting into it is a max width of 800 pixels and a padding of 20 pixels. That's the only styling I put for my 90 style blog. But so now I've got the document basically ready to upload to a server, but I do want to make it look a little bit nicer. That's where I set up Control P to run Prettier, which you also have to install, which is a Node module. So you install the plugin and you install the Node module Prettier. So if I do Control P, it's going to run the command Prettier. And it's going to take just a moment, and you'll see, line 14. It also gives me an issue. There's an unexpected closing tag body. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Let's escape out of this. Let's go to line 14. Okay, so, because I didn't delete them, I yanked them and then copied them at the bottom. So let's try this again. So I'm going to go here and delete it and then save it. Let me make sure they went down to the bottom. Yes, they did. Okay, so that's another thing with Prettier. It does show you if you have an issue. I'm going to do Control P. Hopefully we won't have any other issues. And you'll see it now indents the document. So you'll see it's formatted a little bit nicer. So I can save it, and now I can place it up into the server. So that's basically my coverage of setting up Neovim for Markdown. If you have any additional tips, please comment in the comments below. I think this setup is pretty good, but it's always interesting to hear what other people have for their setups and incorporate them, and take little things from someone's setup and little things from someone else's setup and really get a nice setup. This Neovim setup for Markdown, though, is fast. I like it. Even when I'm recording, it does tend to slow things down. It's still, you can type things pretty fast. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good setup. It's certainly ranks up there with the VS Code, Emacs, and Atom setup as well, which are also good. Check those videos out as well. Anyways, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It really helps the channel grow. Also, I'll leave links to my social platforms in the description below in case you want to follow me there. Have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next one.